Alright, welcome to my video. My name's Eckogen. In this video, we're going over the mechanics for the last boss in Hollow's Heart. Now, phases happen at 70 and 40% in normal mode, and then in hard mode, they happen at 90, 60, 30. All of his attacks will inflict a debuff that lasts for 10 seconds, and they stack to a maximum of 10 stacks. And he's going to absorb all these stacks at the beginning of every phase. In normal mode, it doesn't do too much damage, but in hard mode, if you have 3 or more stacks, it most likely will kill you. Because all of his attacks will inflict a debuff, you probably want the tank facing at 6 o'clock and keep him facing that direction. That way the rest of the party can DPS at 12 o'clock and they'll be able to avoid most of his attacks. Now outside of his phases, there are a couple attacks you need to watch out for. So this right here is his 180 stomp. So he's going to lift up one leg and he's going to stomp. So on that side that he lifted up, when it lands, that half of the room is going to be covered in an AoE. And then he's going to do the same for the opposite side. This right here is his 3-tier AoE attack. So it's always outer, and then it'll happen in the middle, and then it'll be the inside. When his CC bar is open, it is a good idea to stun him, and then either extend it with like a cat pin or a grapple. That way you don't have to worry about his attacks as much. Now the phases start, so he's going to jump and land in the middle of the room. And then you can see this message here where it says he spreads dark chi seeds. So everyone will get a debuff, and this debuff lasts for 15 seconds. Upon expiry, you're going to get perma-rooted. So everyone will get perma-rooted. So at the same time here, there's going to be green flowers that spawn, and they will spawn on top of those shells. So there's going to be 4 green flowers in total. Touching a green flower will root and initially weaken the debuff that you get from the start of the phase. And then if you touch another green flower, it'll remove your debuff and it'll give you a buff. So you want to designate 2 people to do the flower mechanics, and each player needs to get 2 flowers. So after getting the first flower, they should SS to break out of the root status. That way they can quickly get to the second flower. And then the boss is also going to drop 3 AoEs at the closest person. So just watch out for those because they are persistent and they do a lot of damage if you stand into it. Now, next he's going to drain energy from the flower. So he's going to suction up the room and he's going to absorb any green flowers that are left over. So there shouldn't be any that's left over. If there are any that's left over, you're pretty much wiped. And he's going to pull all rooted players to him. And that's just his AoE attack again. And now you can see this message here where it says he roars and brings life to the flowers. So what happens here is that 2 purple flowers will spawn in phase 1, and they're always opposite to each other. So what the boss is going to do now is that he's going to do an instant kill AoE, and this is going to cover the entire room except for a specific safe zone. And this safe zone can be manipulated by one of the flower people. So you should also designate one of the flower people to bait the safe zone. So he targets the furthest person that's away from him. And he's going to create a safe zone opposite to that person. So let's say, for example, there's a flower at 12 and 6 o'clock. So if you want 6 o'clock to be the safe zone, the flower person at 12 o'clock needs to be furthest. Then that will create a safe zone at 6 o'clock. So in this video here, you can see that the safe zone is to our right because the flower person on the left side there was furthest. And so there we had a flower person right there. So they stepped into that purple flower. So as soon as that flower person steps into the purple flower, it's going to bring all of us over here. And now that one person that was at the other purple flower needs to go back to it right away. And then as long as someone in this zone here is further away from him, this area will get then targeted, and then opposite to that will become the safe zone. So you could have the other flower person on this side be furthest just to make sure that that does happen. So here you go. He creates the death zone, right? So he's going to target the furthest person that's away from him. So it doesn't matter if it's a flower person or a rooted player, and he's going to create a safe zone opposite to that. So the other flower player is over there by the purple flower, and now they're going to step into it. So this is going to drag us over to that purple flower. So now we're in the safe zone. And then once again, he's going to drain energy from any flowers. And he's going to end it with an AoE. And that's all he does for his phase. So 60%. So now this is the second phase. So once again, he's going to jump and then he's going to land. Remember that everyone gets the 15-second debuff here. And there's going to be 4 green flowers that spawn. So once again, the 2 flower players need to get 2 green flowers each. He's going to fire 3 AoEs at the closest people. Watch out for that. Now he's going to absorb any flowers that are left over, so there shouldn't be any. So each of those flower players should have got 2 green flowers each. And there's his 3-hit AoE again. So everyone is now rooted. So he's going to roar and bring life to flowers. So in the second phase, there's going to be 3 purple flowers. So the farthest person is once again going to bait the safe zone. So the other flower player needs to be ready by one of the other purple flowers. So now that the safe zone is established, they step into that flower. That brings us all over to the safe zone. And now we're probably the furthest away, so he'll probably target us. And then you need to have the other flower person at the other purple flower to bring us over there, so we don't die from the zone there. So now we got dragged over, and then since the flower looks like it's at 12 o'clock there, so one of the flower players need to go to 6 o'clock to be furthest, because remember that he targets the furthest player but creates a safe zone opposite to them. So there we go. So now we're dragged into the safe zone because the other flower player stepped into the purple flower. So if you step into the purple flower too soon, it can get you killed because the safe zone might not be established yet. And now he's going to drain energy behind, but since there's no flowers, he's going to do an AoE. And you can just do in party iframe for that. And then from there, he'll do normal attacks until he gets to his phase. There's the stomp again. Now he would have done another stomp, but because he got to 30%, and that's his last phase, he automatically went into the phase. So remember that he jumps, and he's going to land. Once again, he's doing the Dark Chi, so everyone gets the 15-second debuff. After that 15 seconds, we're going to be rooted. 4 green flowers will spawn on top of the shelves, as always. He's going to fire 3 AoEs at the closest person. Flower players need to get their green flowers. He's going to drain energy again. There's the 3-hit AoE. So now he's going to roar and bring life to the flowers. Now in phase 4, there's 4 purple flowers, so coordination will be needed even more in the last phase here. So in the third final phase, there's going to be 4 purple flowers. It doesn't matter which safe zone you create first, as long as you do it correctly, really. So remember that he targets the furthest player, and he creates a safe zone opposite to that person he targeted. So the other flower person needs to be in place in time to touch that flower, which brings us all over there. And then here's the next safe zone we got baited to. And see how the flower player moves around to bait it. So for people that do this, you want someone with high mobility to do the baiting for the safe zones. And then the final one. And then he's going to drain energy from any flowers left behind, but there shouldn't be any. And then he's going to do a 3-hit AoE. And that's pretty much the mechanics that he does. So the phases are exactly the same, except that there are more flowers as the phases increases on. So in the first phase at 90%, there's only 2 flowers. At 60%, there's 3 flowers. And then at 30%, there's 4 flowers, and that's for hard mode. In normal mode, at 70%, it's 2 flowers, and then 40%, it's 4 flowers. Now, under 30%, he does have some additional attacks that he will do. So this one right here is that he's just going to pretty much spam a bunch of mini AoEs all around the room. And then the only other attack that he does from there is he might do a pizza AoE that you won't see in this video. So what he's going to do is that he's going to create a death zone, except for a small slice of an area that won't be a death zone. So it'll be similar to the Raven King, if you remember the pizza the phase in Raven King. So the starting safe zone will be opposite to the tank's position. So if the tank's at 6 o'clock and then he does the pizza AoE, there will be a safe zone at 12 o'clock. And then what he's going to do next is that he's going to hold up one hand, and that's going to dictate the shift of the pizza. So if he holds up his right hand, that means the shift will go counterclockwise. And if he holds up his left hand, that means the shift will go clockwise. And it's going to shift a total of 3 times. So it moves like exactly like Raven King, except that the tank is not immune to that. So there we go. That is the mechanics for the final boss in Hollow's Heart. I will post all the mechanic description and summary in a video description below. If you have any questions, feel free to ask. Thanks for watching. Hope that helped.